I grabbed them as I saved these people.
Right.
Yes, I was the hero.
Of course.
Sure.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Patty G Show. I am joined by Casey Evans. We talk cooking, we talk grilling, we talk buses, and we talk about a little bit of a surprise of some stuff he's got in the works, bringing new businesses, new tools, and better ways to serve their customers. All that coming your way on the Patty G Show. Before we get to that, give a big, wonderful shout out and thank you to the folks that bring you this show each and every week. Lakeman's Health Center and PB&J Productions. Without further ado, enjoy the show. So you were born and raised in BR then?
Yeah, born and raised in BR. I lived in a small town called Cohasset outside of Boston, or suburb, I guess, like in third grade for a year. So I got to experience that. But yeah, I've been born and raised here. I stay here. I like to travel. That's one of my big hobbies. But yeah, like I said, this is home.
So y'all came back for Boston, and you were just excited to be in BR. And what was your life trajectory after that?
So that was young. We were still, in elementary school, third grade, fourth grade. But as far as life trajectory, really, we got home, obviously stayed here. But what kind of informed a lot of it was me working at Dearman's. I started there when I was 16, I think. Either 16 or 17, 05 is when I started. So 20-year mark this year.
Congrats.
Yeah. And so, but that informed a lot because at some point along the way, early 20s, I got into doing concerts, and that was really, I was very successful at it. And it was really, I was strongly considering even maybe like pivoting completely entertainment business. But also at that time, I had started managing at Dearman's, and the owner at that time kind of made me a deal like, hey, you can take this over at some point. And so it was always in the back of my head that, okay, this is a stable business, unlike the entertainment business. And so I was like, well, I'm going to stay here. And maybe he sensed that I was being pulled the other direction and wanted to keep me, but I don't know. But it did work out, and I do now own Dearman. So the deal did come through, and, as promised. And so, yeah. And so, this is, I'm not necessarily, now that I have a GM, it's great to not be there all day, every day, but I'm very much like involved in the operations. So it's not the type of thing where I would just like move and have it here. Mm-hmm. I say that, but who knows, the right opportunity might come around. I'm like, all right, you run this, and I'll visit on the weekend every once in a while.
Yeah, find somebody else to pass the baton to.
But that's not my intent. Right now, like, I want to stay there, foster it through its next 60 years, and the business coaching and consulting really kind of helps me be in a mobile space. So I really want to lean into that more this year. Last year I kind of just got started with it, but this year I'm really kind of gonna try to accelerate that business.
So take us through the entertainment piece. You say you just got involved with concerts. How do you just get involved with concerts?
Yeah, it is like that. All right. So my friend Justin Burnett, who actually became my partner and is actually now my partner at Dearman's and the GM, and he's going to be running the food truck. But our origin story is we were friends at Parkview, where we went to school at, and then we just kept up over the years. And at some point, his cousin was doing, I think they had like a history of doing concerts, but at the time they were mainly doing just like promoted club events and things like that. And so, that kind of got into that scene, and I was like, I thought it was cool. And so we worked with him for a while. And at some point I was like, this is cool, and like doing like the showcases and just club events. But I was like, I'd rather do concerts. And so I started doing like some band showcases and art installments and things like that, along with Justin's help. And from there, I was like, well, I really want to do concerts. Like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to try to do concerts. So I reached out to, at that time, the Varsity and Kevin Gates. And at that time, he wasn't really doing I don't know, white demographic shows. And I don't think that they had really realized that there was like a big crossover market for his music at that time. I just don't think he had thought that he had reached that level yet. And I was like, well, I think you have, and we should try this. And so, I had to pitch the Varsity a little bit because they were unsure, and they weren't really doing hip hop very much at that time, at least not that I can tell. At least not to the extent that they started doing it when the next talent buyer came in, Alex Bowen, who has gone on to do great things. But he really allowed me the freedom to promote and run and do my stuff. But it started with the Kevin Gates show there. It was February 22nd, 2012. I still remember it. And that was a pretty life-changing experience insofar as that, like, so once I convinced them to do it, I think that demographic was an unrealized one for them and for us. And so, because when the show happened, we were thinking, probably be, 50-50 crowd, or whatever. But it was like 90%, white kids. And we were like, and this was a demographic that they didn't even realize they had. And I didn't realize to the extent of that. And so I think it was very eye-opening. I think it probably changed a lot of the business decisions that they were going to make subsequently over the next few years as well of how to manage this. But yeah, I kind of got together with them, and that they gave me a lot of opportunities because they're like, hey, at that very first moment, it was like, hey, let's go to the markets that we already do well in, and let's see what you can come up with because we're not touching your demo right now.
How did you get in touch with them to begin with?
Well, so you also have to think at this time, it's not like he wasn't signed to a major or anything like that. I mean, that all happened during the course of our work, which in general, you would just go through their agent or management. But he wasn't signed to a major agency or anything like that. He just had his local management. And at that time, he was with Dead Game Records. He later went on to form his own Breadwinners Association. But at that time, I just contacted somebody at Dead Game Records, Eric Taylor, and I was like, hey, can we do a show? And they had kind of insinuated to me that we don't think that we're ready for that crossover market. That's not really, I don't think where we're at. And I was like, I think we are. And so we did it. And then after that, it was off to the races. At that time, I think he had just started getting managed by Fee Banks with Young Money and or Good Money Global. And so me and him developed a really great relationship, and because we were like, all right, let's see how we can make this thing work. And we did. And so that opened a lot of doors for me. I was working with them, doing concerts all over the Southeast region, obviously mainly in Louisiana and Baton Rouge, but then I started doing other shows with them in Mississippi and whatever. But that opened more doors for me because like now you're working with somebody consistently who is on the rise at that time. I mean, I picked up working with them at the time, and I would arguably say that I helped.
So did you help make Kevin Gates?
I would say that I think his talent and whatever would have got him there anyways. So I think, but yeah, I definitely think that I played a piece in helping accelerate that timeline for sure. Especially like I said, like opening up that demographic that I don't think that they were even examining at the time. Mm-hmm. But no, I definitely wouldn't say that I made Kevin Gates. I think his talent made him. And I think that's true for a lot of artists and even businesses, like it does come to the amount, the situation of the right people at the right time create these, right circumstances. It kind of reminds me, I went to Japan last year and, it was just like a bus tour, but like me and my friend Caroline were on it. And like the bus tour lady was like, yeah, we had this saying, and I don't remember what it, like the Japanese term for it, but it meant like one meeting, one time is what it meant. And she was basically saying like, none of us will ever be in this room, or like all this happened at this exact time, at this exact place or whatever. And nothing like this will ever happen again. And I'm like, man, I'm getting goosebumps on this bus, on this tour bus right
this
now.
This must be a tour bus, just sightseeing.
Like, point out Mount Fuji. And then,
right.
Oh, by the way, drop some really deep philosophical stuff on me, lady. But it was good. And I actually, I held on to that thought, but I think it makes sense in this case too, is that like, yeah, it was the right recipe at the right time and the right people that came together. Could it have happened another way? Sure. But I think that way was a great way that it all worked out, So yes, I did kind of happen into the entertainment industry because I had no aspirations for it. I was just a fan, and I started doing club promotions, like I said, with my friend. And then all of a sudden I was like, I want to do concerts. And that one really, really worked. And then we just kept doing it, and then, like I said, that opened more doors. And then, the varsity, like I said, was very kind. And so they started doing, at that time, more hip hop shows. And so they allowed me to collaborate with them doing promotions and help marketing and help, grow my brand. And so, and then I was able to leverage that to do other deals in other cities and others, whatever. So, I did really happen into it, and it turned into about like a 10 or 15 year run. So 2012. So however long that was, 13 years ago. And then I kind of got out of it really in COVID. And, but as of lately, I haven't stepped really back into the hip hop side of things. But a comedian, started working for us at Dearman's, and, he's just a local guy. His name's Brandon Bruffett, and he's just kind of telling us his aspirations and this and that. And I was like, hey man, I have a very extensive event production history.
By the way, here's my Rolodex of all this talent that I've helped secure spots for.
Right. And so I was like, I can help you, and we can help you, because Justin is also now at Dearman's with us. And so I was like, we can definitely help you. And so, yeah, we've kind of stepped into the local comedy market scene, and I have a feeling that itch is going to be scratched again by, probably stepping in, doing some bigger shows, and kind of help him get on some bigger shows. But that's a maybe, but we'll see. But yeah, I'm back in the free agents game, I guess.
I mean, here, all I thought was Dearman's was just a good place to get a dinner, and now you've got like all on this train of people established in the restaurant working these deals outside. Like, that's insane.
Well, so, and that's the thing about Dearman's, that's kind of really what pulled me into even doing business coaching as well, is and my brother, he's a speaker and does business coaching for Keller Williams, and he's kind of like the one who was the impetus of me getting into it. He was like, you're already doing this, you're creating these relationships, you're helping people, you're building their brands with them, you're just not doing it as a business, And so that kind of, was like, yeah, maybe I really should get involved with this. And that actually, Donald Miller, that quote that I read you, he had also started writing business books and started a business coaching company, Story Brand, and Business Made Simple. Story Brand's the marketing arm, and Business Made Simple is the general business arm. And yeah, so then I was like, well, I'm going to go get certified with them and add some credentials to it, besides just like the authority piece of, hey, I've done this before, with brands. It's like, well, there's also, credentials too. And, it's learning experiences. There's never enough knowledge to not soak in,
Right.
So I just did another Story Brand workshop with Donald. He actually led the workshop, which I don't think they've done an in-person one led by him in 8 years or so. So it was a nice experience to get to like interact with him and, pick his brain and hear about his vision for the future as well. But yeah, to go back to what you were saying about like having these people coming in and creating careers, that is also like, I think one of the great things about Dearman's, besides just like I always tell people, like, the burgers are great, the shakes are great. That's like, what we're known for. But what I think is like the sense of community that's there and the relationships that we've created along the way. But I think as a mandate for somebody who's in charge, the people that are there, my staff, like I have a mandate, I guess, I want to foster them personally and professionally and help them get in. Because by the nature of the restaurant business in Baton Rouge, it's not like Florida where there's like lifers who are servers. Most servers in Baton Rouge are there for a season, they're in high school and going to college, or they're in college and transitioning to their career job. So I get a lot of people in their transitional phase, like where they're like, hey, I'm just need working here until I get to my next thing. And so being able to shepherd them and help them in ways that benefits them is, like I said, that's my flame, like I love that. And so yeah, so saying that, yeah, all these people coming in and out of Dearman's, well, that's everybody, that's everybody that comes there. And I hope that they all come achieve some sort of success in the thing that they want, like I was touching on earlier, like their success is my success, you graduated from Dearman's and like, I get to say, yeah, they worked with me for 4 years and look at them do their thing, like that's awesome to me. That really, lights me up, like I said.
I feel like you need a t-shirt now. I went to Dearman's U.
Look, we are this year more than ever talking about different merch ideas. So I might take that one. I might take that one from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time before somebody leaves, I'm like, all right, got you I graduated from Dearman's U.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're more than just, Dearman's Diner. You're Dearman's University.
Yeah.
You go there to get a degree and cook good food.
So I've been there 20 years. So obviously there's been different chapters to people, but for one chapter we used to have, it just became a running joke. It's like, all right, this is Casey's counseling corner. Come to the back booth. We'll talk about the problems that you're having, I don't know, boyfriend problems. I don't know, school problems, it's all right. I got you. Just come sit at the back booth. We'll have a burger. We'll chat. We'll talk this through. So, like I said, that goes back to like my brother saying, like, you're doing the thing already, you're just not doing it as a business.
Right. You're stepping into the role of being more of a leader for folks within your organization. You're not just being their boss or their manager. You're actually leading them, because it's true. The hospitality industry for most is just a season of life. It's not somewhere they're going to be for their entire career. Those that make it through end up being in a position similar to yours. They get close with the owner and they run it like it's their own restaurant. And the owner says, I'm done. I'm passing. There's no one in my family or there's no one in my close group that's going to take it over. So it's now yours. Here, you take it and run with it. And so when you're in it for that long, you kind of got to have a good team, because if not, it becomes a nightmare trying to hire people. And going against the positive of it being a season is that it is a season, and people are going to be like, nah, I'm done. I worked there for 2 weeks. I'm good.
Right.
Like, I'm not coming back. I just really wanted to get the weekend of whatever major event was happening in the city's worth of tips, and I'll be out of here.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a compliment that I've received from many people, that are just observing the operations at Dearman's, and they see the people that are there. And I think that probably also informs why we're able to create these types of relationships with the community, is because most people are there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. This is just like the wait staff side, the cook staff. I mean, Shantae, one of our cooks, has been there longer than I've been alive. So is LaShonda Luck. She goes by. I mean, she's been there 30-something years. I'm 37 today. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
So I might have beat her out for as longer than I've been alive, and that she's working there. But in general, though, yeah. So like if I say, like, they're like, oh, because people always ask, oh, you got a lot of problem with turnover there. I'm like, no. I was like, we end up, like, our hiring process. Yeah, every once in a while we'll put up flyers if we're a little shorthanded, like right now. But in general, like, we just have the staff, and then they end up recommending one of their friends, and then they're there for a couple more years after that, because like of where they are in their college career or whatever. And so, but they're like, that's a testament to you and your leadership. And I'm like, that I don't really think about it that way, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's a great place to work, and we don't have the turnover problems that a lot of restaurants have. We do have people that stick around for that full transition, like, all of their college years or whatever, and I actually used to have a joke that I would say, everybody who works at Dearman's works at Dearman's twice, because typically as some of these people go out and get to their career jobs or find something new, they always know it's a place to then come back to if they're, short on cash, or if they find themselves in between jobs or whatever. And, like, we had one guy who started working in the movie industry, and said, like, he would go work on a movie and then come back to Dearman's whenever he wasn't on a series or a movie. And yeah, actually we ended up having 2 guys like that. But even like people who go off, who are going off to other cities and stuff like that, if they come back for like Christmas holidays, they'll be like, hey, especially like when they're younger in their careers, they're like, hey, can I come work during the holidays? And so, yeah, I think that's a joy and a blessing, and like I said, like a testament to that place, and hopefully my leadership, I guess.
Well, I think it is, because not many restaurant operators or leaders in your position may be open to that idea of having people come in the holidays and work 2, 3, 4, 5 shifts, just while they're in town. But for you to have that openness of a leader and say, look, this is not a lock and close door. It's a swinging door. This door goes both ways. Like, when you walk out the door, unless we were separated for a reason, if you were stealing from the register, you're not coming back. Like, that's not happening. But if you were like, I'm at the end of my season of life where Dearman's fits, and then you go off and you say, well, this actually does fit because of X, Y, and Z, of course, like, the door's open. I think having that mentality really separates you.
Yeah, we have a girl right now who her older sister used to work for us, and then she started working for us, and she moved back to Lake Charles or whatever, and but she's back here and she's like looking for a sales job or something right now, and but she's like, hey, can I come in the meantime? She's like, I'm not here to stay. I'm literally looking for a job right now. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, and so. But I guess it's because I do care about people. It's not just words to me. It's like, I do think that I have a responsibility to lead these people, and it's not just that responsibility. It's that I care about these people on a personal level. Also, to the same thing, because you get to know somebody when you're spending 4 years with them, and so you do have an investment in their life. But I seek to have an investment in the lives of people. Like I would say that that's probably even more so lately than ever, something that I've been thinking about, like, because, people talk about legacy and this and that and whatever. And I think that like my driving factor is for people to have met me. Like I think about like, what's your eulogy going to be like? And so it's like for the people to have met me, to have been better for having met me, and not just me knowing that, because of course it's like, well, of course they're better for having met me, but no, for like them to feel that way. They're like, yeah, I know Casey. And because of our relationship, like I got something out of it. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't necessarily have to be knowledge. It could just be a hug at the right time or whatever, but like, that's, I think what I really want people to experience when they talk about me, is that I left that relationship better, or I received something of value that I hold with me, in life.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want them to have an interaction and say, oh yeah, I was there at Casey, but like, I couldn't wait to get out of that place.
Right. I mean, even beyond just like, working the business, because guess what? Some people might not like, my management style or whatever. And that's okay. But like, I just like interacting with anybody, not just my staff. Like I want people to have like, to live a better experience because they met me,
Yeah. Well, and like, so the hospitality industry specifically as a whole, like you were talking, having, multiple family members come and work for you. We did a job out in Cincinnati, and we met somebody where the mom had been working for so many years, and then her daughter was also working with her. And like seeing that and hearing that you've got the same situation where family members like, oh yeah, come work. And you've got multiple, like at one point, if your whole wait staff is like, wait, I've got this entire person's family is running this shift.
I've had that.
You've had that?
Oh yeah. I just had 3 sisters that worked there. One, I have one of them now. I had 3 at one point, but the other one just left to go. She took like a child daycare job type of thing. But yeah, I mean, just now I had 3 sisters of this over the last year that worked there. The guy who I said was doing the movie stuff, he worked there, his brother worked there, and then their little brother came and worked there for a short time, several years later. That girl was describing, her and her sister. Plenty of family members recommend that job, I guess, to their family members.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's our hiring model is basically just getting references from our staff.
Who are you related to?
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah,
Who in the wait staff are you related to? That's like a prerequisite.
Yeah. In our interview, do you have siblings? Okay, you're hired then.
Yeah. Do you have siblings? Are they younger than you?
Right. Exactly. Right.
Wait, you're the baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's gonna be a knock for you. They're already past this stage. Then,
right. But are your siblings in a transitional period?
Right.
It becomes more about the family.
Yeah. But yeah, that's been. But I think like. Yeah, that could be a little bit about me, but I think that's also like about the place and about the environment that we've created there and what it was before I got there. I mean, Dearman's is a community place. Again, I go back to, it's not just about the burgers and fries and shakes. Those are great. It's not the greatest thing about that place. It's the relationships. It's the community. And I mean, you could see it whenever we had the fire and the landlord was considering not renewing our lease. I mean, the community came out in droves. There were letters everywhere. Just decorated our windows with notes and things, newspaper articles, just news covered it, just at the behest of people in the community, and I think that was very touching for us at that time, because obviously having a fire is it wrecks you, man. That's to see everything just gone is tough. And but having that outpouring of because I mean we were at that point we were like while picking up the pieces of that we were like, all right, I guess we got to look for potentially another place to rent, and but no, man, I mean our landlord came through, but I think that our landlord partially came through doing parts of the community and stepping up and supporting us.
So walk us through the fire.
It's hard to walk us through it because it was inconclusive, but we have no idea what really happened. It just I don't know, it was just it happened like in an electrical area, so that was one conclusion. Another conclusion was well, I guess it was all inconclusive, but these are hypotheses.
Right.
Spontaneous combustion of rags because so keep in mind, by definition, spontaneous combustion is, it's random, whatever, but that rags, especially ones that are like, because we use like industrial, like, like a Centos or like a Westport Linen or wherever, where they like pick up the rags every week, whatever, that there could be trace elements of things that could match together or rub together in the right way and start a fire.
Okay. Well, I mean, they're washing it with a lot of chemicals.
Correct.
A whole lot of chemicals.
But also, it's like, so yeah. So I guess, so that again, it was just a theory. But so we don't really ever know what happened. But it was quite a endeavor. I mean, it took us 20 months to reopen.
So was anybody in the restaurant at the time the fire?
No, just in the middle of the night. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we just got a call in the middle of the night, and the owner at that time, David, I guess he slept without his phone on or something like that. I think I was the one who ended up getting contact, and I had to drive to his house. I'm like, yo, there's fire at Dearman's or something, whatever. Like, I think I was the one who got, I think one of our cooks maybe called me, and because maybe she somehow heard, I don't know. They're always connected. But I can't remember exactly how, but I remember I had to drive to his house, like, yo, we got to get to Dearman's, and the fire department was all there, and it was a mess. But yeah, the beginning of it took so long because it was undetermined and whatever, like, and it was an area where things were plugged in, like the ice cream cooler, the Coke machine or whatever. It was all they knew like the area of origin, but not necessarily what happened. So we had to wait. I think it was like 3 or 4, and then our insurance company and the landlord's insurance company, I guess.
Everybody's got to get adjusters out there
at the same time because they didn't want anybody pointing fingers that, like, Coke didn't want the ice cream company saying, oh, it's definitely Coke's machine that caused this, and so it was roped off like a crime scene, I guess, or whatever, until all companies could get on this. So that took 6 months before anybody.
6 months?
6 months until all interested parties could get their fire investigator out at the same time. And obviously no one came up with anything that worked for anybody. Secretly, I was hoping it was Coke's fault. Like, give us a payday, Coca-Cola, but it wasn't them. Who knows what it was, but so that took 6 months.
So what do you do in those 6 months though? Like as an owner, as an operator, as an employee?
Man, so our employee, well, the owner at that time was David Van Gelder. He was very gracious. He actually helped the cooks that didn't have another place for a while. He kept paying them for as long as he could because
6 months is a long time.
They're not they don't have a lot of extra means, and so he knew that. So I don't know if he paid them the whole time, but I know he took care of them for a while. I mean, I wasn't in his pocket, so I don't really know exactly, but I know that transpired. So that was really stand up of him to do that. But so we didn't do anything. So for that 6 months, that part was bad. But then even after that, the floods happened. So finally, when we were able to get that going, then subcontractors were in short supply. And then also after our floods, Houston had floods, and we had to order a bunch of equipment from Houston. And so that also like stuck a delay on that. And so it was one thing after another. But we got it all together finally. But it was a difficult process. But yeah, what do I do? Luckily for me, I had worked in the entertainment industry for a while. And at that time, my brother was working with Nightlife Group, and they had like 5 or 6 bars. And he called me and he was like, hey man, we're making a transition. we're actually hiring a new GM at one of these bars. Will you come and like be his AM and really just kind of coach him on managing? And, you know, and I ended up staying with them until Dearman's reopened. And so that was a good experience. But yeah, luckily I had that nightlife experience already, and they knew that obviously I'd been managing restaurants, so it was an easy shift. I had already been working with a lot of these people in some capacity doing events or concerts. They knew me from that. So yeah, that was an easy transition for me. But yeah, it was for a while. There was some, I took my best friend lived in Florida at the time, took a lot of trips to Florida. I was like, I ain't got nothing else to do.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you do?
But the well started running dry, you know, because again, no money's coming in. So I'm like,
you can't feed people.
I got to go back home. I got to go. Because that was the thing too, because it wasn't like in 6 months this will happen. It was
in 6 months, somebody will come out there and say, we are not at fault.
So there is no plan. There is, all right, this is 1 week. Can we get the adjusters out? No, this is week 2. Can we get the adjusters out? Week 3, you know, and that turns into 6 months, you know, like it was always, so like, it was always, it's about to happen. It's about to happen. Like, I think all the way through that first year, I think it was about at the year mark. So 12 to 20 months, I was like, all right, we're about to get this thing going. We're about to get this thing going. And then like, I was like, I have to get another job. Like, I don't have any more money. Like, I've just been sitting here, you know,
right. The fact that you even had 12 to 20 months worth of just income put aside is a different story than most.
Yeah.
That, you know, that you could do that.
Yeah.
Because like 12 to 20 months, if you told somebody tomorrow, hey, you're not going to have any income for the next 12 to 20 months, they'd probably be like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. What do you mean I'm not going to have anything? Because yeah, literally yours went up in smoke.
Mm-hmm. But keep in mind, I also did have the concert company going. So yeah. So I was making some money there, but yeah, but like I said, Dearman's was my main source of income and my stable source of income.
Right.
Because again, concerts can pay off really big, but also, I mean, you can lose big too if it doesn't work out. Because what I was doing, I did do some artist management and development stuff, and so I was getting paid like in a management capacity for some people, and just doing promotions and marketing for shows that weren't necessarily ones that I put on. But the ones that I put on, I mean, you're buying the venue, you're buying the artist, you're paying for the marketing. So if you don't sell enough tickets, you lose all that money. You know?
So you were taking the position of being on the hook for it all.
Correct.
Saying, hey, I want to have a concert here with this artist. Mm-hmm. And then you're running with everything.
Correct.
So you were only making money off the sales.
Ticket
I'm sure.
sales.
So not even a share of the food and bev?
No, that's irregular.
Okay.
For concerts, at least in my experience, at least on the venue, levels that I was doing. I did, do some, I actually started, especially being in Baton Rouge, we only had, venues. Fred's is expanded their operation. So now they have like whatever 4,000 person venue essentially now. But this is prior to all that. We didn't have what I would call a mid-sized venue, places that could hold 2,000, 3,000 people. Right.
You're talking only only a few hundred people.
Right. Yeah. The varsity was 850. The Texas Club, I think, was 1,500 people. When I was doing hip hop shows, so it wasn't necessarily their demo. And then the next level up, I think, would have been like the smaller River Center rooms or whatever, or setups. And so that now you're at like 6,000 people or something. I can't really remember all the numbers. Or at that time, the PMAG maybe was like 4,000 people. I don't think they rented out to third parties anymore, but at that time you could. And excuse me. So I was like, well, we got to create our own venues. So I went to like some of the Tigerland bars that I was working with doing other stuff. And I was like, hey, let's do tents. And then we outgrew the tents though. So like especially with Kevin Gates. So the first one we did with Mike's and Tigerland at that time. And we did like 2,700 people. And we're like, all right, this is the ticket now. And so we started doing tent concerts because there was no venues that served our size. And then the biggest one we did, I think we did like 4,700 paid. And we did this outside of, it was the Bandit at the time. It's been like 20 different things, but that was on East Boyd. And that Nightlife Group owned that. Like I said, because they were already familiar with me from doing those concerts. But they, so we did like 4,700 paid, I think. But I mean, that show was crazy. There was Kevin Gates. We did other big shows out there, but that was the biggest one. But I mean, people were in their apartments, on their balconies, watching from the streets, trees. Yeah, so I mean, that was probably like a 5,500 person like show, and no telling how many people got through like unpaid actually into the event. But yeah, I think we did like 4,700 paid that night. It was crazy. That was probably one of my biggest like solo venture successes of one that I put on. Like I said, by the
so that was just you.
Yeah, free agents marketing. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out, Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you.
But I've done other events with other people, either as their marketing arm or that were bigger, or as a collaborator.
Okay.
So like with other production companies. Because at that point now you're splitting that risk. You know, you're talking about, you know, that so you're just eating all that.
Let's split this cost.
Yeah, let's split the
and
risk.
Then let's combine our efforts to market this thing.
Yeah, and then you see that a lot. You know, but you know, Live Nation's really kind of over the last 15 years taken over a lot of that market too. But yeah.
So you were big into the marketing piece of things,
mm-hmm.
and even so much so today of recording, I believe you released something out to the public, right?
Yeah. So today I dropped Marketing Done, and it's 3 different packages. One's a clarity package. The whole thing is really centered around business owners not having time to do their marketing, especially small business owners. That's really my demo. Is small business owners don't have time to do their marketing, or they don't have the expertise to do their marketing. Because most small business owners get into business to do the thing that they're doing.
Right. They work in the business, not on the business.
I have a product, I have a service, and since I want to get paid doing this, I have created a business around it. Most of them don't have much business experience. They have plumbing experience. They have, whatever their thing is experience, electrician experience. They're not necessarily business people. My little brother, great lawyer, not necessarily call him the best businessman. You know what I'm saying? But luckily he has other people around him to help him. But my point is that most people doing a business aren't necessarily business people. And even more so, don't necessarily know how to market or market effectively. And that's where this thing comes around, is creating clarity around marketing, because a lot of marketing isn't effective. A lot of people are paying big bucks to have collateral that just isn't very good, or not clear. And so actually my smallest package is called Clarity, and because it's helped people get it started with a brand script, which is a story brand concept, and which helps the brand script helps feed the whole marketing engine, because it's giving you the concept of it is behind the story brand thing. It's 7 elements of like a character's journey, and again going back to what makes a good story makes a good life, what also makes good marketing. You know what I'm saying? But the idea is inviting people into a story. You're not just telling people a story. So like the big tagline is the customer is the hero, and most people don't treat their sales like the customer is the hero. They treat themselves as the hero. They treat themselves as the main character in this whole deal, when the truth is everyone's the main character in their own lives, and they don't really care about you insofar as you can help them. So that's how you need to position your product, your service, your brand. Most people don't position themselves that way, or when they're trying to market, they want to just say about all the great things that they do. And that's good. It's good to have an authority piece. That's part of the framework, actually, but you're not the star of the show. The authority piece is the guide. So Yoda to Luke Skywalker, they're the person that's helping the person get the other way. I actually made the video the other day because it was Pokemon Day. I know I'm much well versed in Pokemon these days, thanks to my godson. But I was like, you're not Ash Ketchum. You're Professor Oak. You're the one that's providing the service, the tools, the information for Ash to become the very best, Pokemon Master. And so, and that's, a lot of people aren't positioning their brands that way. But it starts with getting clear about the message and the thing that you're even offering to be that guide. So clarity is where I start with. And then the next one, I think I called it engage, but we add a couple more pieces to it, nurture emails, things that once you've gotten that piece, the clarity piece figured out, we'll add, if you choose the second package, we'll add a few more items and a little bit more product, helping them naming and descriptions, because again, all of that stuff, you want to get clear on. Your overarching message is one thing, but then it also takes place for each of your products and services as well. And then we get a little deeper with the last one, I think I call it impact, and where we're really going through like sales scripts and pitches and ideas and things of that nature. We'll really get in depth with it, and I spend more time with them too. Like the first one is so it's called marketing done because I just do it for you. Like it's a deliverable.
That's what I was about to get at, is like, it's not so much so that you're an agency doing ongoing work. It is, here's your whole package, and now you can take it and run with it. Right. I'm going to break it down, and I obviously explain for you. And so I like, for instance, the journey is, you pick a package and then you info dump. Me and you sit there for an hour, 2 hours, and we are talking about your business. I'm taking all information and I'm plugging it in, and then I'm going to come back in a couple of days and here's your package. Here's everything that can inform your marketing. Or if it's, nurture emails, here's an example of nurture emails. I also have like a social media package. That's an add-on, here's 5 video scripts that will work. Here's, 10 post ideas that will work. And that's the whole thing. It's done for you marketing that attracts clients. Not all marketing attracts clients. And that's just the truth. And I'm not saying if anybody's doing it right or wrong, but I'm just telling you that this is right. this works. I'm not saying it's the only thing that works, but it works. It is
because,
one of the things that works
because
well.
Story is timeless.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of time, that is how we've transitioned things over, starting from oral tradition to now, and so.
Look, I get it. Story works. Having your story documented and captured, then being able to redistribute it is the thing that's going to set yourself apart. Mm-hmm. Being able to sit in maybe a podcast form and talk to people about what they're doing and your brand and your image, and also how you can help your consumers and your clients and your customers. That's what's going to stick with them more. Mm-hmm. Jay and I started something on the production side of that because we know it, we see it, and we'll help you put it together from a podcasting piece, or from a long form piece, and get that story told with PB&J. But it's like, we're not going to sit there and do all that other stuff that, that's where you get you to come in. It's like, oh yeah, right. Give everything spilled out. Okay, great. Now we're going to take that, and then we're going to help guide you and get your story out
right.
there.
Yeah. So think about it from the podcasting piece, right? If you are, for instance, using marketing done, you're going to be much clearer on what you even have to talk about in this kind of setting. That's the element of this that a lot of people don't have and don't even know how to necessarily grab, because it's not just, their marketing collateral. It is, their brand story and everything that they know because it's them, but they don't know how to communicate it. Or even if somebody asks them questions about it, they're not, like I said, they're not clear on their message. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times we think that we're being clear on their message, but we're just not. We're not saying things that actually tell you what the brand does. So
I'm curious, then, what is the story or the message of Dearman's?
Of Dearman's, I would say so.
Have you gone through this process?
So I have a little bit. I actually was talking to Justin the other day. I was like, we're gonna do, like, I'm gonna pretend like I don't know anything about Dearman South, the bus, mm-hmm. and you're gonna tell me everything that you think it is. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna run it through.
Yeah, do marketing done.
Marketing done. Yeah, the system for it. But yeah. So for Dearman's, I would say that if I was being if I was Dearman's being somebody I would say not necessarily in alignment, I would say that I am, we serve great burgers and whatever and this and that, right? But here's the thing. Everybody serves burgers. Everybody has some food, whatever. So you can't just be like, oh, you hungry? Have a great burger. But I would say like our message or what separates us from everyone else is that you're having that great food experience with the friendly staff, with that relational aspect. And I would say that that's what we should harp on in our marketing, which we do. And so, yeah, I would say that we are not somebody who, we're not just the restaurant that like, okay, yeah, we have great burgers. Okay. So a lot of people will just say that. I would argue that for most food places. Matter of fact, one of the things that I would say, like a company approached me, about doing marketing and social media and stuff like that. And their vision was, oh, look, it would do all these great shots of burgers and this and that and whatever. And that's all great. And it has a place because we're a food place. But I was like, that's not what people come to Dearman's for. I'm convinced that that's not the reason people come. It is great burgers. It is great food, but I am convinced that it is our friendly staff. I am convinced that it is the relationships I'm convinced that we care about them and they know that we care about them. That's what our story is. That's what makes us, that's why we're here for 67 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to take us the next 67 years. It's not burgers. It's not.
Yeah. It's the environment around the burgers.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, I would say that if I was somebody who was telling me to get clear on our message, I would harp on that because that's the thing that's the actual piece. And so, and that's another thing too, is that, as a business coach in general, you need to be listening for, you have to be discernment. You have to use discernment in what people are telling you to help them sniff out their nugget. I was talking to somebody the other day and they gave me an example and I wish I could remember it. However, what it was is they felt like there was some failing piece of their business and the guy who was coaching them, it's like, no, that's your business. That's the thing you should harp on the most. I wish I could remember because it was very eye opening. But the whole point of that exercise was like, you have to listen with discernment about what it is that they need, that they are again, unclear on. And so, yeah, it takes somebody, and it's true for anybody. It's true for me. I'm not saying I'm a guru. It's the closer you are to something, the harder it is to see those type of things. So it always helps to have that outside perspective. I'm not saying you have to go out and hire a business coach, but anybody that needs some sort of perspective and accountability. That's what I say coaching is about anyways. It's like perspective and accountability is probably the overarching thing of coaching. Now, this is a specific marketing product that we were talking about, but going back to just business coaching as a whole, it's accountability and perspective. It's getting that extra eye on this stuff and helping you work through the pieces of it that either you don't know how to do or people who do know how to do it. I mean, I would say most $1 million CEOs probably have a business coach, and it's not because they're unsuccessful. It's good to have that other perspective. It's good to have that accountability piece, Yeah.
I mean, if you're in it every single day, you're potentially too close to the problem and too close to what you think is a solution in the way of what you expect your customers to accept and to want and desire. But if you have somebody from the outside in, very true. When you're saying, well, this is just a small little piece, like we're just kind of there because somebody tweeted about it or whatever it is. And then you can have that kind of third party take a look at it and say, well, no, like if you follow this path, this is one of the most desirable pieces of your business that you're just kind of letting go on the back burner.
Right.
You need to bring us to the front.
Right.
And it's from their perspective, right? And so they're looking at the situation without having a vested interest in it, where you're like, no, like we've got to do this. Like, this is what we build it on. Like, this is my baby, so on and so forth. And have somebody say, your baby's great, but maybe this other piece really should be brought to the front line.
Yeah, absolutely. And not everybody's going to listen.
No.
Especially with the type of marketing that I'm into and I say I'm into because I'm into it because it works, is simple and clear. Most people try to get cute and fancy or whatever, and that's great. And there's a place for that when you're a household name and you're making $5 billion a year. Great place for that, to be cute and fun and whatever. And I'm not saying you can't be fun, but I'm also saying that your message needs to be clear and simple. And Don uses this example all the time, and I started coaching on it as well because it's just so true, is that thinking requires calories. and your body is built to survive and thrive. So your body wants to use those calories to pump your heart and make your lungs breathe and see. It doesn't want to use it for making business decisions. Business buying decisions. So if you're trying to get somebody to buy your stuff, you better make it simple and clear for them to buy it, because that's how you're going to sell more. I'm not saying you can't sell things the other way. I'm saying if you want to sell more, you need to make it simple and clear. And and some people do not want to hear that.
Oh yeah.
They don't want to hear that they spent $10,000 on a website that doesn't even tell the person what it is they do. You know what I'm saying? Like the hero section, the header section, if your company doesn't say what you do in that section, then you've spent a lot of money on bad marketing. Yeah. Period. And so anyways, we help people get clear on that. That's actually like the product I'm rolling out right now, like I said, the marketing piece, but I'm definitely going to be rolling out some more now that I've kind of got this done for you. And something that I think will just sync well with me, because I do just like working on things and getting into the grid of it with people is I'm probably going to do like an advertising done, like where that's just gonna be like just focus on like just ad space stuff. I gotta kind of flesh that out a little bit, but then I'm gonna do like a marketing on autopilot where that I will have that ongoing relationship. Like this product is a deliverable, and we might spend 2 or 3 sessions depending on which package you get going over it and giving you some implementation stuff. And I do have an implementation package as well, like you add on to it, like, and I'll stay with you for 4 to 6 weeks, whatever. That's an additional thing. But yeah, so then I'm marketing on autopilot, which I will stay hand in hand with them and get their first. I'll get, we'll get that marketing piece done. And then I'll help them with ongoing stuff like SEO and, Google ads and things like that, like kind of combining those two pieces together. And then I'm also working, actually my original name for marketing done was brand builder, but then I was also like, you know what, that creates that cognitive dissonance. If I'm going to be strictly doing marketing collateral and marketing pieces for people, I don't want to call it brand builder, because I'm also not doing that initial part of like, what does this brand feel like? What's the colors? What's the logo? What am I trying to give off with this brand? What is my mission? What are my values? Whatever. And so those are things that I think about when I think about building a brand. And so I was like, man, I'm talking about literally until like the 11th hour, I was going to call this marketing done. I was going to call it brand builder. And literally I pulled the plug. I was like, no, I don't know how I came up with marketing done, but yeah, that I literally scrapped brand builder or whatever, but I say I scrapped it, but I'm saving, because now as I was sitting there thinking about that, I was like, man, that's another product. I'm going to help you, especially startups and, people, solopreneurs especially, I think is going to be a lot of the target for this, is that are really just trying to get off the ground and figure out what it looks like to start a business. Same thing we were talking about before, like most people get into business because they like doing a thing, but they don't know how to run a business. Right. And so the brand builder will be for them, which I'll try to release by the end of the year, but we'll see.
I like it. So what's this bus? What is this bus downtown at Brickyard? So the Brickyard bus
has been a bus of many faces, I think, over the years, and even before it resided with them. And it came about because we were actually doing we do a comedy open mic there now. At that time we were doing it last Mondays of the month, but now we're doing it last Thursdays of the month. And so we started doing that open mic, and I was just sitting there, I was talking to Brian, who owns the place, and I was like, hey, so what if we did a Dearman's pop-up whenever we do events over here, like the comedy night, especially since, because like you're saying, now there's 3 or 4 people intimately involved with Dearman's, literally intimately involved with this event. I was like, what if we just did a Dearman's pop-up, Right. And he's like, what if you just popped up all the time and took over the bus? And I said, I do not have the bandwidth for that, but I'm going to call Justin right now and see if he wants to do that. And he was like, yeah, for sure. Because I had to recruit Justin back to Dearman's. He worked there sparingly, again, in transitional pieces life, but he was actually food and beverage director of a hotel, Magnolia Hotel in New Orleans, and was like running their bar restaurant as well. And I was like, hey man, do you want to come? I own Dearman's now, because I was the GM. Do you want to come back and be my GM? And part of his stipulation of coming back, he's like, I'll only come if we can be expansion minded. And it doesn't have to be Dearman's per se, but we need to be looking at opening up new things because that's what I want to do. And I'm like, yes, that sounds awesome, but you'll be the one doing it. Well, that's what he wants anyways.
Yeah.
And so it was perfect. It was a perfect marriage of our ambitions and alignments. And so, yeah, this came about and he was like, yep, we're doing it. And I mean, he's the main one putting in the work on the bus. I'm providing, again, like the overarching stuff and obviously the Dearman's brand and what that means. But him and another one of the guys at Dearman's, Wes Williams, who's an insurance guy, them two are going to be manning the bus for the most part. And they're putting in a lot of work. I put in some, but they're painting, they're sanding, they're cleaning, they're going to be running the show. And so, yeah, that's how it came about. Literally just a simple conversation. Like, how about this? How about this? I'm like, let me call Justin. And Justin said, how about that? Let's do it.
So what's it going to be? So
it's Dearman South. And so, all right. So there's things that are important about this is that Dearman's Diner is a brand that's been there for 67 years, right?
Right.
So it's very important to preserve that brand. There are things that I wouldn't do at Dearman's, even if somebody's perception is that Dearman's does this wrong or that the Dearman's could do this better. I'm like, maybe it could do it different, but that's not Dearman's. This place has been here for 6-7 years. This is what this place is.
Yeah.
So Dearman South, the bus will actually give us a little opportunity to expand, to experiment a little bit on some things. Like we've added some menu items to Dearman's and we do some things to keep it modern and fresh. Like we've added a shake of the season now, some things that are fun or whatever, but there's nothing that I really want to change about that brand. I think it's important to protect that brand more than anything. And so Dearman's Diner is the patriarch, I guess. And so now I'm calling Dearman South like the cool nephew. So it doesn't have to be, it's part of the family, but it doesn't have to be Dearman's classic. It doesn't have to be Dearman's original. So, of course we'll have the burgers and fries and thinking about the shakes. I don't think we'll start off doing shakes. It's time consuming for a 2-man bus. But we're also going to experiment with some other items. I know we've talked about like a meat pie and a, onion rings, which we don't have a classic. We'll probably add that this year at classic Dearman's too. Onion rings and God, what are some other menu items? So this is untested, but we're leaning into it. We have a PB&J at original Dearman's, for kids, and if anybody just wants one. But now I think at the bus we're going to try to do a fried Uncrustable. So we'll still have some Dearman's things that we'll put a little twist on at the bus too. So it's a cool nephew
fried Uncrustable.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Still sounds awesome in our brain. Not sure about execution yet. So like it's written down on the menu right now, but we haven't fully developed the product yet. But it's on the menu with a price and everything. It's ready to go, but we don't know what it tastes like for sure yet, or what it's going to be just yet. But anyways, yeah. So, but I bring that up to say that it's going to be Dearman's with a little twist, and it'll be much more limited menu. I mean, we might have like Dearman's is already a small menu, a 1-pager, but they'll probably have like five menu items, and then like, there'll be some combination of things. Like for instance, like, I don't necessarily think BLT will be on our menu, but we have the stuff to make a BLT. We make it at Dearman's already. So if somebody asks for BLT, we're not going to say no. You know what I'm saying? We don't say no to pretty much anything at Dearman's if we have the stuff. But the great thing about Dearman's OG is if we don't have the stuff, we have Calvin's right next door. And so I'm like, we're not out. Like if we're out of something or whatever, I always tell customers, like, we're not out. Or, let's just say it's a dressing we don't have. I was like, I have it. 1 second. Walk into Calvin's, but but that also goes that I think that's also, one of the things that why we have that longevity is because, we care about what people want and what people desire, like I said, that is us. We want to be of service, and I think that, going into that hospitality thing and just tying it all back to business in general is, every business, can benefit from hospitality. God, what's the book I just read? Unreasonable Hospitality. Will Guidera. He was one of the former partners of 11 Madison Park, which at one point was the top restaurant in the world. And he learned a lot from Danny Meyer, who opened it and who had a bunch of those. He still does have a bunch of those fine dining restaurants in New York, and also opened up Shake Shack, which has now become, they've opened up, I don't know, 20 or something now. They're publicly traded now. But anyways, so obviously a lot of elements from Danny Meyer show up in Will Guidera's book, Unreasonable Hospitality. But the point of Unreasonable Hospitality is not about necessarily restaurants. It's about that all businesses can benefit from being of service and making that the priority, which again goes back to the whole customer of the hero thing. All this stuff ties together because it's what works.
Right.
No,
I love it. I love where you're headed and what you've already got done. I'm excited to see kind of where things go from here,
Yeah, me too.
Before we get you out here, though, we have a set list of questions we ask every guest.
Okay, dang. I should have studied more.
I know. It's the easiest test, though.
Okay.
I mean, I say it's easy. The answers are interesting, to say the least. So the first one is, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
I don't know, man. I still watch anime and play video games. So those rank high on my hobbies. What else did I do as a kid that I don't necessarily do today? I don't know. That's hard to say because I'm a big embrace the whimsy person. Like I love, even if it's like something that's like weird or not, or whatever, that I'm like, dude, like that's just that person loving the thing that they love. And I think that there's something just so awesome about that. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm a little Peter Panning it a little bit, but like, in the never grow up type of thing, it's like, just do the things you enjoy and love. Like, and there's very few things I don't know. I mean, not pay bills, that'd be lovely. Call mom. My mom's wonderful though. I mean, if I probably could call her for anything. I know I can call her for anything. That's not a probably statement. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think that there's anything that I did as a kid, I could probably do now, or probably would enjoy doing now. And I think that should be true for everybody. I think that we start learning things. God, I think it was Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And it's something that's like you started messing up when you became like a knower and you started naming things and doing things or whatever. And so like when people start saying, oh, well, that's embarrassing or whatever, blah, blah, why? You like it, right? You love it. Who cares if you don't like it? Like there's other people. And I mean, I think the internet's connected us more than ever. You can find a niche in the world of your tribe on the internet.
Oh, no doubt.
Reddit has a subreddit for you. You know what I'm saying? You can not only like this, then you can talk about it with fervent people. Like that's the other thing too. I always say, I was like Joe, I was just saying like, oh, I like anime and video games, but like I say that like, that's like a side hobby for me besides like traveling and hiking maybe, but like, but then I'm like, maybe I'm not a fan, because when I get online, I see fans, like true fans. I'm like, man, what I consider true fans, I'm like, I don't possess the knowledge, the fervor.
You're a hobbyist.
The fervor, I guess. Yeah, I'm a hobbyist. Yeah. I don't want to say I got anime tattoos, so I don't want to say I'm fake, but I don't know if I have the fervor that that some of them have. That's the word I'm looking for, fervor. I find that. So yeah, it's my hobbies. It's my kid hobbies that I still enjoy to this day, though. I
love it though. Yeah, mm-hmm. You can have your little toes in the water with certain things, because like as soon as you start getting on those subreddits, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's a different.
I thought I was level. A fan. Yeah. Like I said, I'll go on a date. I'll go on a podcast and say, yeah, man, I love anime, and then I go on there. I'm like, maybe I don't. Maybe I am.
Not to that extent.
Yeah. I'm just a guy to these people. Like, dude, you don't know anything about anime, whatever. So yeah.
I love it. So you've done quite a bit over your career. Mm-hmm. What are 3 lessons you've learned along the way?
People first is number one. That relationship piece is important to everything that you could do in life, is putting people first, being of service. That's huge. I think not taking everything so seriously. And that's not to say that bad things don't happen, but that, it will be okay. Going back to the one meeting one time, these are all life experiences, and that, anything can become profitable, any experience, and I don't mean profitable necessarily in the sense of financially, but you can gain something from pretty much any experience not pretty much any experience that you encounter. And I think to not take that lightly is like the piece that I'm really kind of trying to communicate here, is that like these all things happen to you for some reason. What you do with that ultimately becomes who you are. I'm a twin, and we've had some of the exact same life experiences at the exact same time, and we've gone about them differently. It's fine for people to go about things differently, but I think that ultimately will shape who you are. It's not necessarily the thing, it's how you approach the thing. Mm-hmm. And let's see, what's a lucky number 3? Things that I've learned. I don't know. I guess probably life is short too. I've faced death multiple times now. I was in a terrible car accident when I was 17. Didn't think I was going to make it. Then they thought I was going to be, mentally handicapped, but made a full recovery. What was the second? Oh, my heart in 2020, which was devastating to deal with because people couldn't visit you in the hospital or anything like that. I had a lot of great people like sent me like video messages and stuff like that. But I mean, I was in the hospital and they were like, I had AFib with RVR, and it was persistent, which means it was happening all the time, not just like AFib is kind of a transient type of thing. I think it comes and goes, for as much as I know about it, but this was all the time. So basically my heart rate was like beating at like 130 all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, and they couldn't get it to stop. They used all the medication. And so like, I remember just being in the hospital and them saying, and me being like, okay, well, what's next? And like, there is no next. That's the end of the things that we can try.
Your body's got to figure it out.
Yeah, no, they were like, you're in heart failure and it's not going to figure it out. We're going to keep trying. But yeah, they ended up going with some off-brand medicine that like apparently like wrecks your pulmonary system. Like, we can't keep you on this very long, but we're going to try this. But also has shown to help with AFib, but it's not for AFib. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, it's going to wreck your pulmonary system too if we keep you on too long. So, but they tried cardioversion where they shock your heart back in place. It held for a minute. And then they tried it again. It didn't work. And then my heart at that point was too weak, to try it again, and it wasn't working. So they kept me on that dangerous medicine, whatever it was, for, like about a month. And then they did ablation and was able to, which is where they like burn, like freezer burn, I guess, parts of your heart, and get it back into correct rhythm. But anyways, the experience though, I mean, that, and like I said, the car wreck, this, plane crash survivor also.
Plane crash
This
survivor.
that was not a death defying one, but I have to throw it in there. It doesn't seem as cachet as it was last year, because it seems like everybody's in a plane crash if you sign on TikTok now.
Yeah, no, for real. But okay, what was your plane crash story?
So on the way to Japan last year, we were about to take off. We're in Atlanta and about to take off, head to Japan. We're in a big plane, obviously. And so, and it was a hurricane. This plane actually ended up hitting a plane going to Lafayette, and it was like filled with reporters that were going to just to do the hurricane coverage or whatever. And but yeah, so we're hitting the runway, about to zoom to our takeoff thing, and I guess the other plane hadn't pulled up enough, and yeah, our wing just ripped the tail off of their plane. No injuries, luckily. They off-boarded us into a situation where we had to sit there because they deboarded the other plane first, because our plane was like the tank and that was like a little the RC car, and so like they deboarded their plane and made sure everything was good, because I think they're probably worried about a fire happening on their plane. Mm-hmm. And then we rolled it back to the terminal, and they like offloaded us into like a situation room, and lots of snacks, pizza party. Nothing calms people down like a pizza party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. You want to talk about things from your childhood? They remembered pizza parties good.
Yeah.
And they loaded us up with pizza nonstop for 6 hours while we're going over everything. We had to fill out a bunch of paperwork, but I mean, there was no injuries, and we were on a plane, like I said, within 6 hours back to Japan. It was in Atlanta, so at the Delta hub. So I guess they figured
just
it out
pull
for
one of the
us.
non-broken planes.
Yeah. They dropped a couple thousand on us and said, peace be with you. So yeah, that one wasn't as death defying, but I love saying that was a plane crash. When I'm 80, it's going to definitely be that we crashed in the air and had a parachute to safety or something like that for sure.
Oh yeah.
But for
now,
now,
it'll be fleshed out.
For now, yeah, it's just the normal story. But yeah, but life's short, and I every moment matters, and I don't mean that in a cliche way, but it is going always back to that thing that I was just talking about, is that none of this stuff is happening. Like, we're not going to be in this room at this time this same way ever again. This is an important conversation, and realizing that everything that we do matters in some way, and not taking that for granted, taking that seriously. It doesn't have to be like every single moment has to matter and have to do this and have to do that. I don't mean it like that when I say take it seriously, but yeah, live with intention, and that, and yeah, I think live with intention is probably the better way of saying it. Mm-hmm. And don't waste time, say the thing that you want to say, tell the people that you love them, do the things that you desire, because you might not get a chance. And I've been the victim of, like, hey, you really might not have had another chance. I think that's why I love travels. Cause like, it was something that was big on my mind before, I want to see this and I want to see that, like Tokyo was one of my top, or Japan in general was one place. I ended up going to Tokyo, but one of the top places I wanted to travel to. And like, literally one of my friends, she's in Australia, and she was going to Japan, just for a little quick vacay. She was doing some other stuff in the Southeast Asia, like teaching. And, but she decided to take a vacay to Japan, and I just saw her posted on her story one day. And I was like, oh man, I've always wanted to go to Japan. And she goes, let's split the hotel. And I said, I'm booking my flight right now, And so it's like, yeah, take those moments, like, because they might not come around again.
Yeah, no doubt.
You might get in a plane crash.
And have to parachute to safety.
Yeah, parachute to safety.
That's what I've heard,
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's how the story's going down.
Yeah. I think at some point you'll be sharing the parachute with 3 people.
For sure. I grabbed them I saved these people.
Right.
Yes, I was the hero.
Of course.
Sure. As we in our one-man parachute took 3 people down to safety.
Of course.
For sure. I saved the pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They were knocked unconscious. You had to guide the plane down.
Absolutely.
But right before you crashed, you jumped out with the parachute and the pilot.
Yes. Now the story's getting good. Yeah. I like that. But yeah, so I think, live with intention for sure is probably the best way of saying it.
So what is something you love about Baton Rouge?
I don't know if it's just that I grew up here, but, people will say like the food and like LSU and stuff like that, but I do think I think it's a sense of all of that. And I think that it's probably also the source of the negative aspects that people say, but you get the city vibes, mm-hmm. and the small town vibes, like in the same thing. And I think that probably, like I said, is the genesis of some of the problems. You have some big city problems in a smaller city. But at the same time, you have some, big city fun in a smaller city. And golly, you can run me over. This goes back to, people, not living with intention, not appreciating things. Yeah, living with gratitude, man. You want to put that on my 3. That goes, golly, being grateful, change your life. Literally, we put together a 30-day goal workbook, and on every page is, what are you grateful for today? That's part of the goals, is to write that down, because it informs the rest of your day. But, but yeah, so being grateful, but like when people say, oh, there's nothing to do or whatever, and it's like, man, you go on experience the things. I think it's so funny that like, I'm like, me and one of my buddies, like we went to axe throwing in some other city, and it's like, oh man, that was so fun. It's like, we have axe throwing in Baton Rouge, or, whatever. And it's like, but everybody just wants to be down in Baton Rouge, or like the museums that we have here, and like, I go to museums in other cities. It's like, we have some of these things. We have countless people trying to do, comedy, concerts, whatever. And and people end up not supporting festivals. I mean, they used to do a film fest, Third Street Film Fest or whatever. And, you know, that there are people doing things like that all the time. And so I think that, like, if you just know where to look instead of, you know, being negative, then you might find a lot of things that you enjoy about this place. And I guess, you know, like me saying that, so I guess it goes back to community, and maybe that's because, you know, where I've worked at for 20 years, we emphasize community. And so maybe that, you know, informs my love of Baton Rouge and the reason that I like being here. But, you know, if you can't tell, I'm a big family guy too. And for now, most of my family lives here. And so that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that'll be like that forever. So, I mean, those are things that I cherish too. And whether that speaks to Baton Rouge or not, it's one of the reasons why I love it. I would rather, if it was like, okay, well, you can have the exact same experience in Baton Rouge as you have in whatever, Topeka. It doesn't matter, pick a city. But the only other thing is that my family was there, then I would choose Baton Rouge. You see what I'm saying? So so yeah, it's part of the reason why I love this place, you know?
No, I get it. Mm-hmm. So what can I do to help you?
Oh man, I don't know. Recommend Marketing Done to people. I'm trying to slang that product. I'm trying to help people that don't have the time to do their marketing, you know? Yeah. If you know anybody that needs marketing assistance or really general business stuff, that's really where I'm putting a lot of my attention and focus this year. You know, Dearman's is doing well. And as I said, I have Justin there to really help shepherd that. And, you know, like I said, he's taking the forefront of this next project. So I'm putting a lot of focus. It gives me the freedom, thankfully, that he's there to really lean into this coaching thing and help people in that aspect of life. Because, you know, I say things like help people and people are like, oh, you're just giving them business advice. It's like, or whatever. It's like, well, those two things are intertwined. If you're unhappy in one, it's showing up in the other,
right? And
vice versa, for sure. That's 100% no doubt. Maybe there's some super high compartmentalized people, but not most. You know, most can't live without the other. And again, this is for, you know, small business owners, whatever. It's not necessarily people working in the business, but it could be for, you know, like one girl when I was putting it out today, she's like, I'm about to take a marketing job, and they said that I could have a marketing coach, and like there's a budget for that and everything, whatever. So it actually can be for marketing directors as well, because she's like,
right,
you know, I'm about to hit you up in like 2 weeks when I get this job, type of thing. So yeah, but it's for people that, because like I said, I've been doing retainer one-on-one business coaching, and this is a way for me to like literally say, here, this is deliverable for you. You don't have to do anything, you know. It takes that off their plate, and that, I believe, is just such a huge benefit to people. So yeah, if you know anybody that wants to have a better life because their life's more free and stress-free because they don't have one more thing bearing down on their time, then yeah, help me, help you, help them.
I love it, man. Well, look, I appreciate you coming in today, sitting down and sharing your story. And I mean, thank you, you know, for being here after that awful plane crash.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
Like after having to fight off the bears once you landed in the woods, yes. Like it's a miracle you're here.
Actually, my buddy Jacob Zumo, so he's an artist in town. I don't know if you know him, but he's had a wild success. He has a gallery here now, Jacob's J Zumo Gallery. And he actually did a lot of the concert stuff with us. He was painting live at shows while we were doing it. And that's kind of how he built his brand. And he's gone off doing to sacred art now, and does a lot of work with the Catholic Church now. However, he has a podcast now. And I saw on his podcast a plane crash survivor. And I was like, how dare you?
Not get you on first.
Dare you?
Right.
Yeah. I sent him a message immediately. He's like, oh, we'll get you on. I was like, no. Plane crash survivor. I'm a plane crash survivor, but this dude probably did fight off the bears. I don't know. I haven't listened to that episode yet, but you know,
that's good though. I mean, yeah, you got to get them. You got to get on there and tell your story.
But now I'm just the second plane crash survivor.
Right now it becomes a plane crash survivor podcast. Yeah, you know,
forget that. I'm gonna have to tell a different story when he invites me on.
Oh yeah, any one of the other death-defying stories that you have.
That's true. That's true. I do. I have been racking them up. So
yeah, you just see which he hasn't had, and you pick that one.
Yeah, that's what I got to do.
Well, thank you, man, for coming on. I appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to seeing where you take things.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So thank you everybody else for watching or listening, whatever platform consuming us on. We'll see you right back here next week for another episode of the Patty G Show. Y'all have a good one.